Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to try something. We're going to piece together a kind of framework, a map for navigating modern life, pulling from the psychological and philosophical ideas of Jordan Peterson. So, let's just start with a question. Do you ever feel lost? You know, that feeling of being completely overwhelmed by just how chaotic and complex everything seems these days? I mean, it makes sense, right? We just can't function in pure chaos. The source material points out that any kind of ordering principle is better than having none at all. We need some kind of structure, a story, anything to help us make sense of where we even are. So, for our purposes here, let's call this structure your personal map for life. It's basically the framework that gets you oriented, that helps you figure out where you are, where you're going, and what you should do. But what's this map actually made of? Okay, so think about it. Any good map has to start with the terrain, right? You got to know the landscape. And for your map of life, that first step is knowing your personal terrain. And what is that? Well, it's your personality. So modern psychology gives us these 5 core dimensions, the big 5. And you should really think of these as the fundamental filters you see the world through. It's automatic. These aren't just little quirks about you. They are seriously deep, ingrained structures in your temperament that literally shape how you see and act in the world. Okay, let's make this real. Take extroversion. Where you fall on this spectrum completely changes how you see the exact same thing. So an extrovert walks into a party and sees a world of social opportunity. It's a place to connect, to get energized. But an introvert, they might see that same party as something to retreat from, a place where they'll need to recharge alone afterwards. And look, neither one is wrong. They're just different ways of being. The trick is to know which one you are. And this is where it gets really fascinating, because these traits go so deep, they can even help predict your political leanings. For example, people who are high in orderliness, that's a part of conscientiousness, they value structure, right? So they're more likely to lean conservative. But people who are high in openness, they love new things, new ideas, and that tends to tilt them toward liberalism. I mean, just think about that. Your built-in temperament influences how you think an entire society should be set. And the predictive power here is, well, it's pretty startling. Look at this number, 0.4. Now, what is that? That's the correlation between conscientiousness, being industrious and orderly, and your grades in university. After IQ, it's the single best predictor of academic success. And why? It's simple, really. Conscientious people, they make plans, they use a schedule, they're willing to sacrifice fun now for a reward later. Okay, so you've got a better sense of your own personal terrain. Now what? Well, now your map has to help you navigate the outside world. And let me tell you, that world is full of really complex systems. And a lot of them are definitely not designed with your best interests at heart. Let's just take our modern food environment, for example. The quote-unquote standard American diet, it didn't just appear. It was actually a brilliant solution to 4 specific business problems. The mission was make massive quantities of food, make it super cheap, make sure it doesn't go bad on a shelf, and, most importantly, make it taste really, really good. And hey, the system worked. But the consequence? The one nobody really planned for, is that we've created a food environment that basically hijacks our appetite. It makes it almost impossible not to overeat. And you know what? It's the same thing with our social world online. The rules are just different. Think about it. In the real world, there's a cost to what you say. You see the other person's face, you risk them getting mad at you, and that keeps us all, in check. But online, you can say the most insane, extreme thing to millions of people for free, with 0 immediate consequence. And it's that total lack of a corrective feedback loop that allows the whole thing to become, as the source material says, insane. So, let's put this together. If our own personal maps are kind of biased from the start, and the world out there is actively misleading, how in the world do we stay on course? How do we fix our maps when we know they're wrong? Well, this quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. We are not smart enough to fix our own thinking. We've all got this tendency to just spiral off into our own weird delusions. So you have to voice your half-baked ideas to other people so they can go, whoa, wait a minute, have you thought about this? They see the flaws we can't. And that is the whole point of free, open conversation. And this leads to a really crucial point. Free speech, it isn't just some abstract right on a piece of paper. It is the actual practical mechanism that keeps an entire society sane. It's how we as a group think. The sources make a powerful argument that the opposite of this is what you find in totalitarian states, where literally everyone has to lie about everything all the time. And the whole society just collapses into this massive catastrophic delusion because no one is allowed to give truthful feedback anymore. Okay, so this brings us to the final layer, the deepest one, the foundation of the whole map. What is it that holds all this together when you're faced with real suffering? With real tragedy? What gives your map the durability to actually last? Look, having a practical identity, saying I'm a plumber or I'm a lawyer or I'm a carpenter, that is way, way better than having no identity at all. It gives you structure. But the source material argues that in the end, it's just not enough. That kind of identity is fragile. It can't really stand up to the biggest existential questions. And it kind of, as the source puts it, leaves your soul hungry for some deeper form of identity. The maps that really last, the ones that can handle real doubt, are rooted in something much deeper. They're built on these universal, ancient, archetypal stories. And the most fundamental story of all is this eternal dance between order and chaos. So order is the known, explored territory. It's the structure that keeps you safe, but it can also become a prison, a tyranny. And then you have chaos. That's the unexplored territory. It's the unknown that can absolutely destroy you, but it's also where everything new comes from. New life, new information, everything. A meaningful life, then, is about standing with one foot in order and one foot in chaos, constantly mediating between the two. So this all comes down to a final question. A question for you about your own map. Does it actually account for who you are, for your personality? Is it good enough to navigate the crazy complexities of the world we've talked about? And maybe most importantly, is its foundation deep enough to give you real strength and meaning when, not if, but when, you have to face the chaos and suffering that life is going to throw at you? Is your map for life actually built to last?